Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. God has hidden unlimited treasures in His Word. Every time we open it, we can discover a new treasure, or admire an old one. What will we find today? Let's dig in. Here's Carla Early with Treasure Hunt in the Word.
My favorite cookies are Oreos. 4 Oreos mashed up in a mug of milk specifically. But as a diabetic, since that combination has as many carbs as I'm allowed to have for one meal, I don't eat Oreos. I don't buy Oreos, in fact. And the only time my husband is allowed to have them in the house is when I'm out of town. And he'd better finish them off before I get home. The temptation is just too much for me. I'd prefer to avoid the temptation by not even having them in the house than to have to stand up to it day after day, knowing they're in the snack drawer. The Bible tells us to flee temptation, stand up against it, look for a way to escape, and pray the Lord doesn't lead us into it. Yet when Jesus began his earthly ministry, it says that the Holy Spirit led him into the wilderness, specifically for the devil to tempt him. And Jesus obediently followed. He had just been introduced to his public ministry at his baptism by the Holy Spirit coming down on him and the Father proclaiming, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." But he didn't start preaching right away. Jesus walked off into the wilderness, led by the Holy Spirit. For 40 days, it said he fasted. Now, he didn't go in the wilderness, sit on a rock for 40 days, and do nothing. What always accompanies fasting in the Bible? Prayer. For 40 days, Jesus prayed, spent time with his Father. I don't know about you, but I've never fasted for 2 days, let alone 40. But continuous time with God, focusing on spiritual things, changes your attitudes and your heart. Once when I was taking radiation therapy after my thyroid cancer surgery, I spent 7 days in isolation, specifically focused on the Lord. Though I did eat during that time, I can't begin to describe the closeness I felt to the Lord. So after Jesus' 40 days of fasting and praying, yes, he was hungry and weak physically, but his spirit was full. The thing is, when we've had a mountaintop experience with God, that's when the devil attacks. And it usually works too. Remember Elijah after the showdown with the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel? Satan got him so rattled right after that, he was running for his life and didn't think that there was another believer in all of Israel. He even asked God to kill him because he didn't trust the Lord to take care of him. Sometimes the devil will catch us coming off a high with God, and we fall right into his trap. So he tried this on Jesus. If you'd noticed, none of the temptations that Satan tried on Jesus would work on us. If he told us to turn stones into bread, or, well, chocolate would probably be more tempting for me, we just couldn't do it. Or jump off the temple, we'd say, "Are you crazy?" Or him giving us all the kingdoms of the world. Who would want them? He's good at tailoring the temptations to the desires of the specific person. Just like he knows us and what we want, he knew Jesus and what Jesus wanted. He knew who Jesus was and what he could do. He knew Jesus was hungry. The temptation was not to trust the Father to provide for him, but to do it himself. That sounds like one we would fall for, doesn't it? The second temptation drew off of Jesus' desire for people to believe and follow him. If he jumped off the top of the temple and miraculously landed safely in the middle of a crowd, who wouldn't believe he was the Messiah sent from God? What a great way to get people to believe, right? But that was not God's plan, and Jesus knew it. The belief had to be from the heart, not from some big showy event. In the third temptation, Satan offered something he knew wasn't even his to give: the kingdoms of the world. God really controlled them, and he would give them to Jesus, but not until after the cross. The devil offered Jesus a shortcut. We like shortcuts, don't we? He told him, You can bypass all that pain and hardship and still get what you want. But no, it came with too great a cost. Bowing to Satan. That wasn't going to happen. Jesus refused all of those temptations and proved to us that victory over temptation is possible with his power. And Jesus got what he wanted. When he ordered Satan to go away and Satan obeyed, angels ministered to him, likely bringing him food, like the birds did for Elijah when he was in the wilderness. Afterwards, Jesus chose his disciples, those who followed him because he called them, not because of some big miraculous work he did to get attention. And after the cross, God the Father gave Jesus power and authority. In Matthew 28:18-20, he told his disciples, "All power is given unto me in heaven and on earth." Then he sends them out under his power and authority to spread the gospel. What desires do we have that the devil uses to convince us to sin, to not trust God's provision, to jump ahead and try to do things ourselves? Jesus knows the difficulty of resisting temptation. How do you need to trust him today?
You can contact us at treasurehuntintheword@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to share a treasure God has given you by doing an episode, please contact us. You can listen to other episodes on our website, which you'll find in the description below. Thanks for listening, and remember, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.